Welcome to Behind the Ops, the show where we cut through the noise and get into the real strategies, decisions, and infrastructures behind fast growing companies. Today, we're joined by Jared Kugel, founder and CEO of Tire Agent, one of the fastest growing e commerce companies in the US. Tire Agent isn't just selling tires, it's revolutionizing how consumers buy them. By integrating fintech through PayPair platform, Jared's team has turned a traditional price driven purchase into an accessible, customer focused experience. What started as a simple idea that people shouldn't have to choose between budget and quality has grown into a national brand reshaping an entire industry. Before launching Tire Agent, Jarrett spent nearly a decade building partnerships and scaling operations at Future Tire, giving him the deep operational understanding that fuels his leadership today. We're talking about what it really takes to build a business that grows fast and smart, from digital transformation to consumer trust to operational precision. This is Behind the Ops, and today we're going behind the scenes with Jared Kugel, a founder proving that innovation doesn't always mean inventing something new. Sometimes it means reimagining something everyone thought was already done. Hi, Jared. Nice to see you. Thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having me on.
Oh, I'm glad you could be here. So, why don't we start with telling everybody a little bit about you and about the company and kind of what you guys are up to?
Absolutely. So I'm the CEO of Tire Agent, and I started the company technically in 2017,
Okay.
but we actually didn't really launch until, well, the Tire Agent today until 2020. No,
Okay.
sorry, September 2019. So we started June 2017, and we launched it officially, what you see today, September 2019. And since then, we've obviously transformed who we are over time. And it's been great. It's been great. It's been a lot of image changing over the years, but we are in a really good place because what we ended up doing was when we originally started, we thought we were going to be a search engine.
Okay.
And then we pivoted into mobile tire. And then from mobile tire, we were trying to do tire and wheel road hazard. And then we finally discovered Tire Agent, which you know today. But it took time to get there.
Sure.
And so since then, now what we are is we're one of the largest retailers of tires in the country. So we sell tires, we sell wheels, and we sell some accessories.
Okay.
And that's basically what we're known for now. But it's kind of evolved over time.
I love that. And so you just gave us so many places to go on this episode, right? Which is a complete overhaul of your business model, not once, but twice and three times, and then all the operating models that go behind that to support it. So let's start a little bit with around, where you started in 17 and then you seem to have a fairly significant change in 19. What was that? What did that look like? What were some of the operating things that you looked at and were like, this is working or it's not, and this is where we need to go?
Yeah. By the way, sorry, I'm a little fried from
You're
from
fine.
work, waking up at 5:30 today. But basically, what happened was, I was working at my family's distribution company.
Okay.
Then what happened was I ended up going on LinkedIn, pitched an idea to a stranger. A week later, that stranger decided to become my first investor
Nice.
and offered me $100,000 for, I think it was like, I forgot what percentage of the business, but instantly I just had to take it because how often is a stranger going to write you a check?
Yeah,
Right? Like
absolutely.
never. So from there, I quit my family's company and went into starting Tire Agent. When we looked at the business model of the search engine, somebody sat me down and said, "When was the last time you heard about a search engine selling?" And I was like, "Never." And he's like, "Yeah, because nobody wants it." So, because Google and Bing and DuckDuckGo or whatever else is out there, those dominate, right? But the super, super small ones just don't have enough scale.
Right.
And then we looked at mobile tire and someone said to me, "How many cities are you in?" And I said, "Well, one." And he's like, "Exactly." So I was like, "Okay, that's a good point." Then we looked at tire and wheel protection, but we had seen that it was a very hard business model because it was B2B to C, and you're counting on someone else doing all the work,
Yep.
right? So that wasn't going to work. So then we looked at ecom, and ecom made sense, but if you don't have a hook or a value prop, then it's just a race to the bottom, right? And I don't
Right.
mind giving. And look, we pride ourselves on having competitive pricing and being really good,
Sure.
but you have to have something else to bring people in. You can't just only be known for having like the cheapest or sales or stuff like that. So we're like, okay, what do customers really want? So we went through like a checklist of things and we said, okay, this is what we're going to be known for, value props.
Okay.
That's what worked. And once we kind of figured that out in 2020, we started to really increase it. And then by the time 2021 came, there was a huge resurgence of online, right? Because everyone
Yep.
ended up gravitating to online after that. And so it was a transformative year for us. But COVID obviously
Sure.
jumpstarted it. But if you look at where things are going in all the different categories, it has really propelled it to like a whole nother level than what we ever thought it was ever going to be possible. Even in categories that were never really bought online at like mass volume.
Sure.
But today, when you look at the industry trend of my market, the market is getting bigger online, but the competitors are actually getting smaller. And it's a very interesting thing. And because it's not easy, right? Like everyone wants to sell products online, but there are just so many things you have to be good at to execute to get to this level. From 2020 to now, we've sold over 2 million tires. And you need to get logistics down. You
Yeah.
need to get processes down in terms of how you talk to customers, how you handle customers. You have to get the marketing down. You have to get the tech down. I mean, it's a lot of different facets of the business.
Yeah.
We've done a great job. We have really great leadership here. But, you know, if people think they could just get into an e-com business just because you have a Shopify or any of those, it's not how it works.
Right.
I
No.
mean, you'll maybe make a few dollars here and there, but if you want to be a real business, I mean, you got to have a real staff, you got to have a real plan, and you got to really understand how to get product from point A to point B. And it's
Absolutely.
not just shipping. It's not just shipping with the big carriers. I mean, there's a lot of different things in it. So we're very proud of ourselves that we've really mastered it.
Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about that operational side, right? We talked, major categories where sales and marketing, which most do. You have an ops and logistics, I'm sure. You have tech, you have shipping and marketing is probably, or shipping and receiving is probably part of your logistics chain. But talk a little bit about that, how you have to build out all those pods and at
Yeah,
the same time make sure that they're playing well together in the sandbox.
100%, 100%. So I mean, look, we use the big carriers too, right?
Yeah.
Like that. I'm not saying don't use them.
No,
You
no,
should
yeah.
use them because that's what exists. But we have a hybrid of a lot of different models. I mean, we have last mile couriers, we have LTL, we have FTL
Okay.
in some cases. Do you need me to explain the differences?
Probably wouldn't hurt.
Sure. So you have parcel, which is the individual packages. You have less than truckload,
Okay.
which is like pallets.
Yep.
You have full truckload, which is exactly what I said. You have last mile courier, or last mile, as some people call it. And that's where you literally within maybe, let's call it 0 to 100 miles.
Okay.
And then we have also middle mile as well. Well, that's what I call middle mile. Middle mile is things that are in between 100 miles, but not quite like super long distance.
Okay.
And so we have a lot of different pathways in which we get the product from point A to point B. And that's why we tell customers like most of our orders get delivered within 2 to 4 days. That's what we tell people. But actually, if you look at the data, most of our product gets delivered within like a day or two.
Wow.
I just don't like to set that expectation super early just in case things happen, weather, or whatever. But we really are trying to pride ourselves on quick delivery, customer service, multitude of payment options, tire road hazard protection. We train our customer service agents very well, and to the point where we actually invested in AI for training. So we have AI now that mimics what a customer would be saying to our agents. Good customers, mean customers, a whole bunch of different things.
Damn it.
Um, and it's great because it's up training them, right?
Sure.
We want to when we train our people, we train them in knowledge. We want them to be empathetic. If
Mhm.
there's a problem, we want them to be problem solvers. We want them to really be able to communicate well. And so we invest a lot of money in training for the customer service team and for our logistics team. we when we think about operations, it's all intertwined, right? Because customer service has to work synergistically with logistics.
Of course.
Customer says, I didn't get my package. What do they have to do? They now have to work with that other team, find, locate, ship. We have a tech team that works like very closely with the marketing team. And that's because we want to make sure that we're moving in the right direction. We invest a lot of money in marketing technology, data analytics.
Sure.
Like these are the things we're doing. And when I started out, that's not how it was. We were, I was basically the CMO when we started out, which is always a disaster when the CEO is doing both. And we basically had to push our boundaries on what we were comfortable doing. What I mean by that is spending money knowing you're not going to make money right away,
Right.
right? That's always like a very tough push and pull scenario. But we did that. We knew it was going to take a certain amount of money early on to kind of get us to where we needed. But once we got there, then it was a lot easier to kind of keep reinvesting back into marketing, right? Because you get if you know what you're doing, you get to a point where there's X amount of dollars in, X amount of dollars, sorry, X amount of dollars out, Y a number of dollars come back in.
Right.
And it becomes like a formula, right?
Sure.
So, but it took time to get there. It didn't happen overnight.
No.
And so what I do is every week we have strategy meetings. Every month we have all hands meetings. We have really good structure between the different departments, and we always double check everything.
Oh,
So in our case, we have our supplier success manager checking with the controller to make sure we're receiving the right amount of credits.
gotcha.
So we're like in our business, there's a lot of moving parts
Yeah.
and it's a lot of micro parts. They're not big parts. But if you slip, then the whole thing kind of falls apart. So we have a lot of checks and balances in place to make sure that no department is on their own island by themselves.
That's probably a really is one of the questions I was gonna ask you is certainly with that many departments and that many moving parts, what are some of the things that you're looking at from a key metrics or even, dashboards and or kind of the leading and lagging indicators? So kinda cover all of that for us, if you would, on how you're measuring the movement between your organizations.
Yeah, I mean, I check what the product mix, I check the AOV, I check the CPA to make sure the marketing is spending efficiently. I check the ROAS.
Sure.
I make sure that we're spreading the amount of brands that we're selling amongst the proper amount of distributors to make sure we're satisfying those quotas. So, in our industry, a lot of distributors are selling the same brands,
Right.
but we want to make sure that we're satisfying everything. We want to make sure that everyone's happy. Like, I genuinely believe good partnerships are built from friendships. And I believe good friendships are built with honesty. And so, what we do is we try to be very transparent with our distributors and manufacturers. We try to make sure that we're transparent with our employees. And then we make sure that we also have really good communication and the same with our customers. So, I look at all those KPIs. I also look at reviews.
Okay.
I want to make sure customers are happy. And if they're not happy, I'm on it. Like, I don't want to see customers being unhappy. Now, some cases you just can't solve,
Right.
right? But for the most part, you want to just try to make sure as a business, you're doing everything that you feel morally is right.
Sure.
And so that's how we kind of try to use our business to keep growing. We want to make sure that customers are happy, suppliers are happy, the employees are happy. We want to make sure everything is synergistically. Because if you're just going to be a company out there that's just trying to take, and not really produce a good product, then that's not going to bode very well for you long term.
It
A
doesn't.
very big percentage of our business is repeat business. I look at that as well. And we look at cohort analysis to make sure that customers are coming back, they're repurchasing. Because if they're repurchasing, that's a good sign, right?
Yeah.
They're buying for their spouse or their kids. And that's how you know you have a very successful business when customers are coming back and doing well.
Absolutely. So that's certainly one of the things, right, that any company, not any, most companies will look at is what's your organic growth. So your repeat
Yeah.
customers, the amount that they're spending, and that hopefully that's progressing into greater amounts. When you're looking internal at your company, though, when you're looking at how customer service hands off to logistics, or if they don't hand off, but the workflow kind of end to end, tell us a little bit
Yep.
about what that looks like. Tell me how you're managing that, or your team is managing the success rates between those organizations and how work moves.
So let's hyper focus on customer service to logistics, right? Because that's the most important.
Sure.
So before 2021, we did not have a customer support ticketing system. It
Oh.
was a nightmare. And I was doing everything by shouting into the room where we had everyone in one room. And so we were just shouting, be like, who's got this? It was a mess. Or we were using Post-it notes or
That works.
email. And that was just a disaster. But 2021, we migrated over to a customer support ticketing system. And that was revolutionary for us, like
Sure.
by far. So what we did was, if customer calls in, let's say there's an issue, customer service creates a ticket goes to logistics, logistics solves it. And then when it's solved, it gets reported back to our team, and our team reports it back to the customer. Or if logistics can handle it directly and it doesn't have to go back, then they also communicate with the customer.
Okay.
So that's the flow. But the ticketing support system, if you don't have it in your business, you're completely missing out. I don't care how much it costs; it is worth the efficiency that you gain,
I'm sure.
like by far.
Yeah.
We personally use Zendesk, but there's a lot of them out there that are good. I mean, we just like it because it has a lot of plugins and a lot of features that work for us.
Right.
But my advice to any person operating a business: get a customer support ticketing system. I don't even care which one you get; just get something other than paper.
Right. For sure. Absolutely. Because, like you said, as your volume, as you look at scale, that you're not going to scale with post it notes and yelling to
Because
a bullpen.
the hardest thing for us is when we scaled from 3 million a year to like 50 million a year, right? That jump is so hard for a business. I mean, it's like a pressure cooker
Mhm.
where like you could start to see the cracks happening. And we spent 6 months really working on what that transition was going to look like for our business,
Okay.
like what people needed to understand, how our workflow was going to be different, what SOPs we needed, because we didn't just invest in a customer support ticketing system.
Right.
We also invested in a learning management system.
Okay.
We created our own online school, basically, for our customer service agents. So we put them
Brilliant.
through 2 weeks of training
Okay.
before they even start working in the business. We put them through 2 weeks of training with a teacher, and they have to pass the course basically to get to the next phase.
So let's, a couple questions. Sorry, I'm writing down my notes so I don't forget because a couple
We're
things
good.
you said in there make
As you
me want
as
to
you can
jump
tell,
right in.
I'm a lot more wide awake now. I'm
Well,
good.
good. I'm glad. I'm glad we woke you up. So let's talk a little bit about the operating scale. So you're looking at scale, and usually, the biggest, the 1 to 10 million, they kind of hang out around the same kinds of things. And then you scale from 10 and up to about 25 is a huge jump. And then 25 to 50, 50 to 100, roughly right, are some of the bigger scales. And it
Yep.
sounds like you went through that whole thing. Talk a little bit about where in your either in your operating model or in your just your general kind of end-to-end process, where did you see the things and you're like, oh my god, we got to fix this to scale, we've got to move this to scale, we've got to kind of shift this for scale? Were there glaring
I
things?
mean, I'm still there. Like I'm still adjusting
Yeah, of course.
because like Black Friday through Cyber Monday was like eye opening to me.
Okay.
Like we're at a very big scale now,
Sure.
okay? And I thought that like our business was like no cracks. I thought it was like perfect.
Of course.
And then Black Friday came and we had a surge of sales like we've never seen
Oh.
in our years. And it was great. I mean, like we solved we solved everything. So like customers are happy, like no issues there. But what I learned was we're not perfect. We have to keep adjusting. And so immediately we went into like game plan mode.
Okay.
And because here's what happens: when, like you said it best, 0 to 10 million, it's virtually the same. It's not a big difference. I mean, if you're brick and mortar, there's a difference of like
Correct.
personnel,
Depending on the
but like,
business, but
yeah. But if you're like online, if you're distribution, it's virtually the same. Then it's just about warehouse capacity and so forth.
right.
In our business or ecom really changes when you get to like 30 million. Like that's the big difference, 25, 30 million.
Sure.
And then when you go from 30 to 75, that's a big difference. So what 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 we have learned is it's a difference in training methodology too.
Okay.
Because when you're training people and you're really early on, you can get away with having one-on-one training. When you get bigger, then you have to think about classroom size.
Yeah.
And then your hiring changes because then you're hiring in bulk, right? You're hiring in like group settings basically. So that's one standpoint. Second standpoint, when you get to a certain level, your shipping changes
Mhm.
because now your discounts change, your negotiating power changes. And so now the way you think about margins changes too, because now it's no longer just price manipulation to get different profit. It's also now how you're cost saving,
Right.
right? Because when you get to scale, cost savings becomes a big factor. Then you get to the next point And then it's like, now I got to hire like, now I forgot exactly what stage we did it, but you go from having like a couple really highly skilled executives to
Hmm.
them having like a portfolio of them, right?
Sure.
Because you get to a stage, because then you start to say, as a CEO, I can't do everything.
No.
Like I have to now hire, C-suite people. I have to now hire people that are higher up that have already have the experience, that know what they're doing in the skill set that I don't know.
Hmm.
And so now that changes, right? Because then what happens is your hiring thought, you're no longer only hiring for entry level, you're hiring for middle and so forth. And because early on as a CEO, you're doing everything.
Yep.
Then eventually you start sprinkling in people that can handle things that you can't do. Then at some point you got to get people that actually, you either have to have a choice of two things. Are you cultivating talent and rising them up with you?
Right.
Or are you bringing people from the outside?
Sure.
Now, for us, we really try to promote within. That's a big thing for me, because if I can't, then of course I go on the outside. If there's just like nobody that can do it. But I like the fact that we promote within a lot because they know the business.
Right.
Consistency is key. That's a big part of our success. And then on top of it, it's less training, less time that you're going into,
Yeah.
because they already know like everything. So knowing the business and then efficiency are two different things. Like
Yes.
knowing business to me is they understand the work culture, they understand how you work,
Hmm.
they understand that where to go for who, for what. Efficiency is you don't have to teach that role to someone.
Right.
And so it's this like shortens the learning curve.
Yeah, for sure.
I hope that kind of made sense.
It does make sense, absolutely, and of course gives me lots more questions, which is fantastic. So when you look at your scaling, and right, you said when you
Yeah,
started as CEO, you did everything from marketing and sales to business to the washing dishes and sorry,
it's okay.
don't worry, I'll have them edit my dog barking out. I don't know what that's all about. Sorry about that. All right,
No,
we
it's
need
all good. Don't
20
worry.
minutes. All right, I want to make sure that gets edited out so we don't have Raja, please. Um, sorry.
Don't worry about it.
Are you done? Thank you. I promise that'll all get edited out. You won't hear that
Okay.
on the other one. So when you look at delegation, right, as you're growing and you're scaling, and you said from CEO, you were the primary do everything guy
Yep.
to now you're delegating out. Tell me a little bit about some of the trials and tribulations with that as you start to trust and make sure that
Yeah.
you have the right people in the right places.
It's a great question because early on I didn't want to. Um,
You're
I
not
mean,
alone.
I really didn't. I wanted to do everything and especially be customer service. That was very important to me.
Right.
And that was the hardest thing for me to let go of, was customer service,
Sure.
because that is where I'm really prideful. Like that's where I really hang my hat on, that I'm like, I'm really proud of this business because people have a great experience. And it's funny because early on I was doing it. I remember the reviews, and someone wrote once like, either Jared is like a rock star or he's the only customer service person that the company has. I remember seeing that review,
You're
and
like, oh
yeah, I remember reading that review and I was like, wow, okay, this person totally called me out. But
no.
but it was hard for me because it was like my baby, right? Like that's the thing that I really was like really happy that I got to do. But eventually I had to move that aside, and I had to bring people in. So we went through a few different managers to handle it, and we had our first employee that was customer service that did it. But well, actually, our first employee was our CTO. Well, the person who's CTO today.
Okay.
Our third person or fourth person ended up being the customer service agent for us, and she was great. She was great. Like she did a really good job and all that stuff. But eventually, we had to keep scaling the team,
Right.
and then I had to kind of take a step back. And so the other team was doing it. And then I had to bring in a manager to kind of do it. But it was tough for me. But I will tell you, where I found my fit was helping with the training, the initial training, right? Because that's like taking my brain and putting into that. So
Yep.
that's how you have to think about it. Like you're not stepping away, you're contributing in a different manner. Then when we decided to get a marketing agency, that was actually great because I didn't have a lot of those technical skills, but I was a micromanager of that marketing agency. Like I wrote all the copy. I was looking at all the metrics. I was very active. But then we brought in a CMO, and he said to me, he's like, I will do this, but you have to step away. And That's what I did. I mean, I ended up stepping back over time, and that ended up being the right decision. Like today, I don't I'm not micro in everything with marketing.
Yeah.
I see only the super high level, and I'm good with that because I get to do what I really love, which is operations. I'm working with the manufacturers. I'm working with the distributors. I'm hiring some of the roles that we need sometimes. So I'm very active in the business. Like I did not step away at all.
Right.
I'm actually probably as active today as I was before. I'm just not in every department.
Right.
I focus on certain departments that I feel like really enhance are enhanced because of my talent. Right. So operations, distribution, manufacturing relationships, that's where and logistics, that's where I really thrive.
Sure.
But I trust the team I've assembled. That's been a big part. And even the departments I'm involved in, they still have managers that are overlooking it.
Yeah.
Like we still have a director of operations, we still have a supplier success manager, like we still have all that stuff, but I'm collaborating with them. And sometimes I step into the meetings
Right.
if it's needed. So I think it's a very good balance a CEO needs to have between giving up the reins, but not completely stepping out,
No. Right.
right? Because you can't bury your head in the sand because then you don't know what's going on when stuff goes sideways.
Right. And that's one of the things I was actually having a conversation with one of my clients earlier today. We were talking about in the business and on the business and how that ebbs and flows. Sometimes you really have to spend a ton of time in the business, certainly in the early days. Then on the business and where it's going and how it's going, is kind of later days, but also it
Yeah.
ebbs and flows even at that point.
You want to make sure that you control the business, not the business control you.
Yeah.
Because if you grow too quick, the business will implode.
Correct.
You have to grow at a pace that you can control, and it's not about the sale. It's about after the sale that
Of
hurts a
course.
business.
A
Like
million.
anyone can take the money. It's can you take the money and deliver the product,
Deliver. Right.
right?
For sure.
That is the hardest part about any business. It's following through after you've already done the easy part.
So talk a little bit, Jared, about obviously, you have scaled and it sounds to
Yes.
me like you're going to continue to scale. So what does that look like for you? What are some of the things that you're looking at as you know your model, you know what works and doesn't work, and not everything, no one knows everything. But as
Yep.
you look at that model, what are the things you're looking at for scale and how do you propose to prevent the implosion of your ops?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm trying to think how I can make this more relatable to your overall audience because I don't want to talk about tires because that's not really going to do any good. All right, so
But
I
I
think I
think it's
got it.
okay.
Well, let's talk about operational efficiency.
Sure.
Okay, that that is the cornerstone of everything. If you talk about logistics, so we've really what we did what I'm doing starting January, and we already started it now. We actually branched off post, like once an order comes in, logistics monitors it, everything from manufacturer to warehouse shipping.
Okay.
Okay, follow up. So we actually branched transportation away from logistics.
Ah,
So transportation is now its own animal, basically its own department. And they follow once it has been scanned by a carrier, that's where that department takes over.
okay.
And the reason we did that is because when you're at our scale and you're shipping, I don't even know how many packages, but a lot, you need to make sure that you are proactive and that you're not putting yourself in a position where, I mean, great example. Look at what happened during Black Friday to Cyber Monday. The country got hit with snowstorms in
Yes.
certain parts of the country, right? We had to think quick.
Okay.
And I actually had coincidentally started to branch out that department gradually, like a couple weeks ago. So because I had dedicated people handling specifically last mile carriers, we were able to jump on it and reroute things quickly.
Nice.
So we have like one team that manages the full carriers, another team that handles like other carriers, okay? Like the smaller carriers.
Sure.
Point is, we were able to pivot quickly on the fly when things happen because I'm like, we got to get these people their product. Like, there's no excuse,
Right.
right? And so we were able to do it quickly and came through with it perfectly. Just as we're scaling, we're just making adjustments that we know are scalable and not just one-off solutions
Right.
because one-off solutions don't help anybody,
No.
right? So our logistics team handles everything from warranty to carrier to installation to warehouse, everything.
Okay.
So now I'm creating another department that's going to just manage just the transportation side. And by the way, before it was kind of like together,
Yep.
but now we're branching it out. And the reason why we do want that is because we want a separate supervisor looking at that, managing that, keeping an eye on it, and problem solving quickly.
Sure. Which I think obviously I'm going to make a huge jump here, but I'm assuming that comes from the fact that you've seen these things, right? Like, so you've watched it, you know where your quick hits come from as for a strategic gain, right? So you know that by breaking this up or focusing on this, kind of turning this dial was a stronger long term play than a quick fix is what you're looking for. So I'm assuming that you have a series of those that you're kind of paying attention
Yeah,
to.
most of the time I do a really good job of proactively thinking about problems before they occur. Like the heavy majority of things, we think about it way ahead of time, and
Great.
we're able to get ahead of it early.
Yep.
But unfortunately, I'm not perfect. And unfortunately, you only learn from experience. And so we actually experienced this before and we did solve it for the scale that we were in prior. But now that I'm, a couple years later, we have grown so much in a few years that the pressure cooker became different than when it was when I was smaller. Right. So, we're growing very quickly year over year. We have not had a down year since we started. And so every
Wow.
couple of years I'm learning something new, but what I do is I'm very fortunate that I can think quickly on the fly, and then I just need like a couple hours to really like whiteboard it, make sure that it's sustainable and scalable, and then I execute. And that's what we've done. That's what we did Black Friday week to make sure that's not a problem for next year. That's what we're doing every year because what was very interesting about the Black Friday scenario, a lot of storms happened in multiple states
Okay.
at the same time in a lot of key areas. So we were able to kind of get ahead of it now going into next year so that it doesn't happen again. But we have a great team here, like a great group of problem solvers that worked really close together to kind of overcome it and give customers still a good experience.
That's fantastic. So if you're looking at kind of we kind of wrap up the episode a little bit, if you were to sit down with an entrepreneur or someone who's trying to grow a company, what's something you've learned that you think is very beneficial in any business or anyone trying to grow a business or anyone trying to get their business to that next level? What's something you
Don't do
wish you knew?
don't do quick fixes. Oh, what I wish I knew?
Or
Yeah,
both, or both.
early on, my first like year or two, I was always trying to put out fires because I
Mhm.
was so early and that's normal
It is.
because your business is growing so quick.
Right.
Today, I don't do quick fixes. Today, I take my time if it takes a couple hours, if I have to sleep on it.
Sure.
I make sure that what I'm thinking about is something I'm solving for the long term, not just the now. Like I'm doing both.
Right.
The other thing is if you're an entrepreneur and you're starting out and you're doubting yourself, just know there's a lot of entrepreneurs in the same boat. Like probably whatever you're experiencing, other people are experiencing the same thing.
Right.
So it's really helpful if you could talk to other founders of other businesses so that you can understand what you're going through is completely normal and just know that nobody's perfect and it's very natural online to only see the success stories and not hear about the fires that are happening because
Yes.
no business is perfect.
No.
Every business has challenges. And as long as you learn from it and you don't bury your head in the sand, chances are you'll overcome it.
Absolutely. I think looking long term and strategic is key, right? And there's a time and a place. There's a time to be in and on, and there's a time to
Yep.
look ahead. But I think that's great advice and be patient, right? And that's one thing that I
Oh,
think.
and one last thing.
Oh, of course.
Hire the people that have the skill sets that either you don't wanna learn or that you don't have.
Or that you don't have, right? That's fantastic. Well, Jared, I appreciate you coming on very much. I appreciate everything you shared with us. There was a lot of great stories in there and a lot of great detail. And thank you so much for coming on today.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Of
I really
course.
appreciate it.
Thanks so much and good luck.
Thank you.